Yeah, the community definitely thinks so. They're saying that Mike and Katie need your help. They need support. They need all the forces.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah. So
sounds like you got a bunch of fans there.
Yeah, you gotta hop on in. Welcome to the What the FFF podcast. This podcast is about learning, growing, and finding joy. We want to learn more about our FabFitFun community, and we want you to learn more about us. I'm your host, Amanda. I'm a manager of merchandising strategy here at FabFitFun, and today's episode is on what it's like to run a business. And I have no better guest than our very own co-founder and co-CEO, Daniel Broukhim. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to see you.
Good to see you. I'm excited to chat to you. I have a bunch of questions for you today, and then we ask our community what they want to know from you as well. So I'm excited to get their burning questions answered.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. So every episode we like to start with a little icebreaker. So I wanted to ask you this very simple but key question here at FabFitFun. What is your favorite FabFitFun product of all time?
Unhide, not included.
Unhide, not included.
Wow. You took that right out of my mouth. That was on the tip of my
tricky.
tongue. I love those blankets. I'm using them like almost every day at my house.
Yeah, me too.
But another product that I'm using all the time are actually the West Down bowls.
Yeah.
That we did a while back. I think those are great. When I have guests over, it's an easy way to serve things like ice cream or put like nuts in them and things like that. Moroccan hair oil, which is was one of our first products that we ever sold. Actually, It was in our first box.
Yeah.
Is also one of my favorites, in part because it helped us sell out of our first few thousand boxes when we initially launched. I could pick something from this season, like the Dime sunglasses.
I've been seeing wearing those around the office.
Yeah, they're definitely stand out. They're purple and fun, and so I like the wacky nature of them. But I think there's just so many products that we're selling. So depending on the day, the time, the season, it's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, there are so many. My favorites, just to share mine, are the Alice and Olivia duffel bag. That's one I use all the time. And then my favorite beauty product is the Living Proof dry shampoo that's actually in refills now. We offered it in the box, flowed into refills. So those are staples in my routine.
One thing that really came out to me, back in 2018 when we had Murad in the box, that was something that was really cool. And it was a brand that I'd never been exposed to, but it was actually the brand that got me to actually start a skincare routine. After sitting down with the founder, Dr. Murad, and doing an interview with him and talking through those products. It's really incredible the amount of energy and time and research that they put into these skincare products. So I got a whole level of appreciation just by being introduced and exposed to them as well too. So, there's so much good stuff in the box.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And the box itself is a product in a way, so I guess that'd be my favorite one.
Yeah, but I want to start from scratch. So one of my favorite things about this company is that it's a family-founded business. So I thought you could share with our audience about your founder's story. So where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to college? And how'd you start FabFitFun with your brother, Mike?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first and foremost, grew up in Los Angeles area in a combination of the Valley and Westwood. I went to high school in Sherman Oaks at a small, tiny private school called Buckley before going to UC Berkeley and studying poli-sci and econ. Graduated from there and went to law school. And when I was in law school, I quickly realized that I didn't want to be practicing law and started working in a variety of different spaces. And one summer, I started working at an internet incubator that was run by the MySpace founders called Slingshot Labs, and started exposing myself to kind of the world of startups and websites and so on and so forth. And realized that I was more interested in pursuing my own business endeavors than I was in necessarily getting a job in the legal world. So upon graduating, I decided that I wasn't going to kind of just stop, going down that path and go in a different direction. So it happened to be at the same time, my brother had decided to go back to law school, and he and a friend had started a digital agency that they were running. And I, started getting involved with that as they were both going back to school, started running the digital agency. And one of the agency projects we started working on, in partnership with a number of different people, was actually FabFitFun, which we ended up launching initially as a newsletter and blog. And so ran that for a few years. and then as a media property. And then after a few years, we decided to take it in a different direction because we thought we had a captive audience, but we didn't love the newsletter business. We didn't think it was as exciting. We weren't doing things that we thought were really driving or creating a lot of value in the world, but had an idea for kind of creating a celebrity swag bag of sorts and making it for consumers. And so that was like the initial premise for launching the FabFitFun membership, or the subscription box. Was, okay, let's replicate some of this sort of notion of getting a swag bag. You might get stuff that you would never buy for yourself, but it's like, could be a lot of fun, could be a lot of value. It's often like the trendiest, coolest stuff. Like imagine like if you go to the runway and they give you a gift bag at the end, it's like, here are the latest things, right? And so taking that and delivering it at a fraction of the cost of what you would otherwise pay for those products felt like a really, really exciting experience. And then since then, it's obviously taken a life of its own, and we've evolved the FabFitFun platform / membership into what I view as a broader shopping club, and just a kind of more fun, enjoyable way to discover products you love at an incredible value. But the initial premise was, okay, take this sort of celebrity swag bag concept and consumerize it.
I love that idea, because who doesn't want like a celeb swag bag? When you look at that, you obviously think, I want one of my own. Can you tell us about kind of the journey to creating that very first box, getting the product, etc.?
Oh man, it was super interesting getting the first box together. I think we didn't have a ton of cash at the moment. We're a really scrappy startup at the time. And what we did have was an element of distribution, having built out the newsletter to a certain scale, and we were able to say, hey, we'll feature you in our newsletter in exchange for products, or we'll give you some, help you. We helped one brand do a pop-up shop, and in exchange for taking over some of the inventory from them and being able to buy their products pretty cheaply at the time. And so it was an amalgamation of things, reaching out to different brands that loved our newsletter, wanted to be featured in the newsletter, and using that sort of marketing distribution angle to curate the first 2,000 boxes, which is what we launched with.
And what was that aha moment? Like you guys, like we got something going on here.
I think it happened really, really quickly. And that was mostly because we sold out of the box within 24 to 48 hours. So it wasn't like...
That's the first box, right?
Yeah, that was the first box. Yeah. But there was like 3 years of like running a newsletter and different painstaking issues that happened along the way. That was really... annoying, I would say, in a lot of ways. It could be like frustrating because the newsletter business was fine, but it never really took off. And seeing that sort of initial excitement and enthusiasm around the first box itself was something that was really kind of a lightning in the moment kind of bottle, because it didn't take us that long to find product market fit. Now, we didn't know how long, how big it would become. Does it become 10? Does it become 20,000? Does it become 100,000? Does it become 1 million members? Like it took a while. It went from like 2,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 to 7,500. So that was like the first 4 boxes. Then we started really in earnest testing ads and seeing that paid creative started to work and so on and so forth. So it took a while to realize like, okay, this is actually going to be really, really, really big. But I think the aha moment happens as soon as you sell out in a day or two. You're like, oh wow, that's actually better than I thought it would have been.
And we have some key differentiating factors about our business in terms of competitors in the marketplace. So we're a full-size business. We offer full-size products. They're offered on a quarterly basis, and it's a lifestyle subscription. It's not just beauty products, not one category. It's a variety of categories. How did you come up with that kind of formula?
Well, it was a number of things, right? So one was the sort of idea of the swag bag itself, driving like the central thoughts around it. Like, when I actually got a swag bag, and in the swag bag there were headphones, like these big puffy headphones that I'm wearing right now. And I was like, oh, that's actually really cool, because like as a child, I always kind of wanted to buy one of those headphones, but like my family wasn't the type to like, oh, you're gonna go spend $100 or $200 on headphones. It just like wasn't in our ethos. So you built a company and went and got the headphones. It was kind of like that, because we've put headphones in the boxes before, right? And so I was like, obviously wanted to do something that could accommodate all sorts of products. And then we were looking at kind of the landscape itself as well. So one inspiration was like the celebrity swag bag. Two, there were other subscription boxes on the market. They were really focused in single categories like beauty, and they were doing sample size products. And those companies really, I thought, were focused on, hey, try this before you come and do a full size purchase, but not really treating the subscription as an end in itself. Like, actually, the reason you're here is because you're getting this crazy subscription that's, finding new, cool, interesting products for you all the time, and that being the service. But really, this is like a different way to like try and sample beauty products before you bought them. I thought, like, if the service itself would be the endpoint, right, and the sort of the where the value was, created and the best part for the members, that was like super interesting. And then there's these different concepts of mystery boxes and things like that. And now we've evolved where if you want to pick every single product, you can every single season. But there was also this element of mystery, and that was predicated on a Japanese concept called fukubukuro, where every season they have these seasonal closeouts. And you can basically go buy a mystery bag, and we do mystery bags now, so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So this idea of like, and you don't even know what's going to be in there. It could be different types of shoes, different types of clothes, different types of bags, so on and so forth. So it was just like a surprise bag, right? So it was those kind of combinations of factors that really, I wouldn't say it's one thing, led to us coming to the conclusion that it would be lifestyle products across different categories. The actual seasonal nature of it is, we wanted it something to be something that you could be a member for life, not necessarily something that became cost prohibitive. And I think, if you were to do a monthly, subscription at like $60 a season, that would rule out a lot of people, right? But if we brought it in at a lower seasonal price point, it's, ends up being $20 a month essentially. And then you add on more valuable things to it over time, like we've added on our add-ons, our edits, our different sales. We create a lot of products that are unique and proprietary to FabFitFun and sell on our platform first. I think we had an eye towards building this broader thing that was more than a subscription box, but really a modern day shopping club.
So you had this vision, but now we're 10 years later. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary of launching the subscription box itself.
Yeah.
Is our membership what you envisioned it to be? Is it more than you envisioned? How has it changed over time?
Look, I think you're never going to be satisfied with where you are. And so I would say that it's definitely come a long way from where it initially was. But I think we're on the precipice of making, a few changes to how the site operates, how the presentation of the experience is so that people can really fully understand all the benefits of being a FabFitFun member. Because I even think, and I know our community is very active and they know all the bells and whistles, but we have a lot of people who sign up who don't know about all the sales or all the offerings and, even, the different discounts that you can get from just being a FabFitFun member. Nor have we fully been able to sort of go through all the types of things we can merchandise. And then we started to do some things that I think are really interesting, like putting apps in the customization flows of the seasonal boxes. I think that, selling digital products is an area that I'm excited about. And I think our members would find particularly valuable. I think going more into fashion and luxury are other areas where we can drive a lot of value for members. So I feel like we're still early innings for FabFitFun because the scope and ambition for what we've wanted to do and the value we want to create for members is so large that it always feels like there's a lot of work to do. Now, I'm not going to lie, of course, when we first started off, it was hard to envision how big it would become. We always had pretty large ambitions and aspirations. So it's definitely come a long way, but feels like there's a lot more to do to really realize the full kind of extent of what we want to accomplish.
Yeah, and I feel like you've mentioned our members a bunch, and I think that's a really special part of FabFitFun. We have this community. They're really engaged. They want to tell us what they think about products, whether that's good or bad. And I think that's really at the forefront of our decision-making here at FabFitFun, both like at my level and ultimately comes from you and your vision of delivering happiness to our members. So what does that mission of delivering happiness mean to you?
Look, I think for me, Mike, and Katie, it goes beyond just being a way to buy your products. We like to think that you're doing it in a fun form factor. So I think even the notion of this is like a treat yourself, kind of gift to yourself and an unboxing experience, kind of like it really does start with that, and that being like here's a gift for you. The unboxing isn't just an unboxing of products, but it's an unboxing of products that then take you on a journey, right? And they can be, a candle in the box that kind of helps you set the mood. It could be a massage oil. It could be a massage ball that you actually use on your thing. It could be the West Elm bowls that help you kind of decorate your place in a more unique and kind of pleasurable fashion. It to me, it's not unboxing of products, but it's almost like unboxing yourself.
Yeah.
And so, when you couple that with like sort of doing it within a walled garden of a creative and supportive community, especially for those who participate in the community. But I think the FabFitFun community goes beyond just the sort of online forums. Like people actually get together, they hang out. You see even like within families, it's like the FabFitFun packages are treated as like, here's a gift for the family, and then we kind of, you take this one, I'll take this one, and like it's seen as like this shared kind of communal experience. So I think that's what kind of is very unique about FabFitFun. And then over time, like, how does it drive our decision making? It means that we're more broad in terms of our scope, in terms of how we think about the things that we can do to delight our members. So, whether it be creating a book club as an example, I think, I don't know of too many other subscription box companies that have a book club, but like we've done that. We've done member meetups, and COVID kind of put a little bit of a pin in that for the time being, but I think that was something that we were super excited about. Different types of events that we've hosted for members is another one that I think, long run that we'd ideally like to pick up. So what I'd say is it gives us an aperture from which we can build the company that's much broader than someone who's just trying to sell you things at a discount.
Yeah, absolutely. We keep our members really near and dear to our hearts. We take their opinions into account. We utilize all the data they share with us, all their preferences, etc., which I think is really special about the business.
And I would say there are probably very few companies where, customers are as transparent or feel like they can be as forthright as our members. I mean, in the best ways, like, they give us direct feedback. When we mess up, they let us know, and and we hear them loud and clear. And I think that's a beautiful thing, is that we can have a dialogue directly with them and hear, and they can give us their feedback directly. We can, have a conversation about whatever the topic is, a product, a service, whatever we're offering, and, really engage with them in a way to understand what their experience was and apply that to any learnings that we take forth.
Even if it hurts, Andrew.
Even if it hurts.
So, I expect a ton of feedback on, our interview here, and I'm sure there'll be certain things I say that, don't land on people the way that I would have hoped. But
then we'll have to have a part two, and then
I can clarify. I can do a whole mea culpa podcast afterwards.
No, what I would love to share with our audience is that we're still like a tight-knit company. It starts with you, Mike, and Katie, and there's a few hundred of us working here, and we still very much so share those member opinions with each other daily. We take them into account. We look exactly what people tell us, and we try and apply it to our business. And so I want to hear a bit more about what it's like working with family, such as your brother Mike, or people who have, I'm sure, become like family in Katie. What's that dynamic like, and how is it kind of a benefit to the business?
Well, first of all, I want to say it's completely admirable, because if it was me and my brother, we probably wouldn't be talking.
Of course, you have your moments, right? But for the most part, I think, we've figured out a way to work with each other. And I think we view ourselves in some ways as very, very different, but in some ways interchangeable. So it kind of, as you grow up, you realize, like, obviously we care about our business a lot, right? And it's always going to be something that's very, very important to us, but the ability to have a partner you can trust and depend on, and actually, two partners in this case, where you can say, hey, do you mind stepping in and handling that? I'm going to go focus on this, and vice versa, I think allows you to have a little bit more of a life in a way. So that's really, really one of the big positive benefits. And then also, when you're all in on it together, you can all do a lot more. And, I think the world of their capabilities and talents. And so, it feels really good to know that, like, hey, can you go take this on or spearhead this or handle this initiative or, and expect like nothing but stellar results. And, it's in the same way I feel about having like incredible team members here. It's like, hey, can you go handle this massive endeavor? And like, I'm not going to be as involved in the details of realizing that to its fruition. Of course, have input and guidance and stuff like that. And then at the end of the day, there's something that's just fun about that. Like when you have family and friends that you're succeeding with together, and a lot of these people at FabFitFun weren't my friends to begin with, but they've become friends because we've been together for so long, working together, building this company. It makes it more rewarding because you care about their success, not just in the sense of the company, but their personal development, how their lives are evolving, their future, and at the end of the day, I think you enjoy your work as much as the relationships that you have within the place that you're spending, and you end up spending a lot of time working in your life. So I think it's really, really important to make it fun. And that's something that I've always valued, is having a fun work environment. And I think doing that with people you care and love about, while it comes with its own complexities, and family itself does as well, I think there's nothing more rewarding at the end of the day than to be able to succeed together.
How do you create boundaries in your relationship? How do you manage that personal and professional relationship to where it doesn't impact each other? For perhaps anybody out there who wants to start a business with, family or close friend, how do you, ensure one or the other doesn't get ruined in the process?
Look, I think it takes time, and I'd say that with my brother and I think we've got into a really good place. So with him, it's like kind of easy. We both, know we're working hard, and we both have pretty good perspective, having gone through a lot of twists and turns of life.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously we want the company to be successful, but our relationship is also, is probably more important than the company at the end of the day. And so, you only have one brother. We've been friends for, my whole life and his whole life. We've been together our whole lives together. And so that relationship in some ways is more unique than any others that we'll have in our lives, and we don't take that for granted. It's kind of funny because it's sometimes when it's like, with my parents and, other family members, they want to ask a lot of questions about the business, and like we'll be going to like a family dinner and like, what's going on, how's it going, what's happening, tell us about this, tell us about that. And that can get a little, more, I'd say, annoying, because it's like, you don't want to have feels like a board meeting when you're sitting down with my dad sometimes. I'm like, Dad, I don't know, aren't you retired? Yeah. But, of course, try to answer what we can. And then also try to say hey, look, guys, we just left work, we were both at work together and we're coming home to see you for dinner or whatever it is. And, there's always a million and one kind of things to be dealing with at all times. And so, it's nice to be able to separate a little bit of that too, and just, hey, we're just going to watch the game now, or watch a movie and hang out, or socialize with friends and stuff like that. And because we do have a lot of overlap, I think, we both recognize that, I think between the two of us, we don't want to be talking about that stuff all the time. And sometimes other people want to talk about it a lot. And of course we do that, but there's definitely some sense of okay, let's watch the game now.
Yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic that's definitely really admirable. I agree with Andrew. Can you tell our listeners about how Katie joined the business, in case they don't know? I think it's an interesting story. It's
a really interesting story. In some ways, Katie predates, a lot of us in the sort of FabFitFun ecosystem, because she was actually she was the initial editor-in-chief for FabFitFun, the blog. Mm-hmm. And we kind of got involved with FabFitFun as we were developing the blog too. So she was the writer for that platform. And, we ended up kind of running that business and bringing Katie into the mix, beyond sort of the scope of being a writer, but hey, she ended up, actually the way she got into merchandising was a little bit of happenstance. So it was, we launched our first boxes, and then I think shortly thereafter, Katie had her first child, and she was returning for the second box, coming back to work, and she came in and she saw me, in the office, and I was like, oh, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, it's we have to launch the second box, and we one of our main suppliers has dropped out, right? And this is like one of our hero products, and we even had the notion of hero products early on. And I was like, I don't know what to do. She's like, well, do you want me to email my PR contacts and see if they'll give us like free products? I was like, yeah, sure. Let's, see what happens. And, she went, and then the day went by. At the end of the day, she comes back to me and she's like, guess what? I was like, what's going on? She goes, I didn't get one product. I got 3 products. I was like, amazing. And I was like, you're in charge of merch.
You've just been promoted. Congratulations.
Yeah. So she was there, from the beginning inceptions of FabFitFun as a writer, but her role has evolved, from the editor-in-chief, and I think she still maintains that title, but really she's our, chief merchant and, is in charge of curating the sort of products that go in the box, the e-commerce sales, so on and so forth, and managing a really large and, probably one of the most critical, functions, if not the most critical function of the business, which is the products that we sell on our platform. And she does a lot more, obviously, than that, but, it's a large responsibility, and the way that kind of happened was, just kind of a series of different things where it was like, okay, she was there and she started helping with this thing, and then she was like, super involved, and then saw what an incredible job she was doing, and then it just kind of made sense, and she became a co-founder.
Yeah, definitely. And from then on, you really, had the opportunity to build your dream team. I imagine the company has grown a lot in size since the beginning. How do you?
Just to preface, Dan used to box the boxes, the first couple of boxes. You guys would do that in office, right?
No. We actually, that would be a misnomer.
Disregard, strike that from the record, please.
I didn't, I just joked about boxing the boxes. We always had, initially we started with 3PL, and then we moved to our own fulfillment center, actually relatively early on in the journey within the first few years. And we started developing that. But, we would do funny things like test the boxes in our office. And, one of my favorite fun stories, and Katie, who's always the biggest customer advocate, was like, we can't put these products in the box without additional padding and so on and so forth, a story where she's like, let's do some drop testing on the boxes. And I was like, okay, I'm not as worried as you are, but sure, let's do some drop testing. And then next thing I know, I'm looking in our first office, there was a huge stairwell, and I see Katie literally, I see her standing at the top of the stairwell holding a box like this. And then all of a sudden I hear a, right? And the box goes flying 50 feet in the air, literally almost onto the street, hit the sidewalk, and lo and behold, the products broke, and, we added some measures into the box to kind of secure the products moving forward. And that was, that was the, we're definitely involved in the fulfillment elements and things like that, but we weren't actually picking and packing the first 2,000. That would have been difficult.
But the fun part is we are really engaged in the whole process here at the company. So, of course, I work in merchandising, so I'm at the beginning of the process, about 12 months before the actual box launches. But our team goes to the warehouse quite regularly. We go about every 6 months. We'll actually pick and pack the box. I don't know if they send it out. I don't know if we do a good enough job. We're probably not very fast at it, but we'll see the entire process, get to know the people who are doing it, and really have this relationship between each other, knowing that we're all a part of this journey to getting from curating the box to getting it to the member. So my question was going to be, how do you build that team? How do you foster a really positive and fun environment, yet very innovative and growth-driven within your team members?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's been a lot of twists and turns in terms of, we've been lucky in that a lot of our key senior leaders have been around us for a long, long time. Of course, we've had some turnover as well. But, how do you build that team? I think you kind of look, I think every company is different, but we're, I'd say, one of the more entrepreneurial cultures. And we're, trying to, do a lot of things at once. So some people who are very, very comfortable with a dynamic environment that's rapidly changing and evolving is something that we definitely look for. So comfortable with uncertainty and working through problems and stuff like that. Positive attitude is another one. I think you can be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't have a good attitude, I think that can just kill the joy out of work and take the fun out of it, and then people won't really want to work with you. So that's another thing that we're looking for. I think experience is another. Now, we're not necessarily looking for people who have all the experience in the world, and we definitely have an eye towards taking bets on talent. I'd say that haven't necessarily done or seen it all, but I think are super smart and have at least some experience, but maybe haven't done the full end-to-end job, before, but like have what we believe is the capability to do it. So that's another thing that kind of we look for. And then obviously nothing, it definitely helps if you feel like they're smart people with high integrity.
Yeah.
So like the integrity piece, is a really important one. Ultimately, you have to trust the people that you're working with, and you also have to think that they're smart and are going to be able to problem solve. So I'd say, those are kind of the things that I'd look for in someone that I'm really working with, like a lead role.
Yeah. And I think our listeners would be excited to know that the office itself is really fun, despite the fact that we work really hard to put these boxes together. It's dog friendly. We have a bunch of dogs around.
Yeah.
As you said, we have, you have family come. People bring their kids all the time. We're testing products. You're testing products yourself, literally in the meetings. We're testing like robes on the men in the office to see if they'll fit everybody out there. So the culture is at the same time very just like positive and lighthearted.
Yeah, we're also doing something that is fun,
Yeah.
right? Like we're kind of creating this experience for people that hopefully they get a lot of joy out of.
Yeah.
We didn't just stick it in there because it sounded fun with 3 Fs.
Yeah.
It was actually part of our culture. Yeah.
Yeah. It is part of it. And one of my favorite analogies about FabFitFun is kind of like delivering Christmas to our members every quarter. I think that joyous experience is so much fun. So I'm glad we're able to deliver that both in office and to our members. So moving on from my questions, I want to get into what the community wants to know from you. So first question that one of our community members asked is, assuming that the membership base is predominantly female or female identifying, how do you make an effort to relate to members in a way to benefit the FabFitFun experience?
Well, I think one of the first things I do is I try to speak to customers and try to understand where that's coming from. And I also read the community feedback and get a lot of the feedback from our customer service team as well about things that are going on. So at the end of the day, understanding what your customers' needs are and concerns are is a huge part of kind of understanding, how you can address their concerns. Beyond that, I think, look, we have a lot of females who work at FabFitFun as well that we lean on to help guide us, which I think can be super helpful, especially when it comes to the, merchandising decisions. And then along the way, I think, we've learned enough to have some level of expertise in terms of like what products we think will resonate and will not. And so, it's something that we definitely had to learn. I didn't know a ton about like skincare and cosmetics, before signing up for this, I'd say right off the bat. But like, I think at this point, after having so much exposure in so many years, I think, the knowledge is above average, and also can lean on people who do have that expertise to help us think through things as well. So it's a combination.
Definitely. And I would say from somebody on the merchandising team, a team of a lot of women, it's really nice to get kind of like an objective perspective, because a lot of us have our own preferences and we have opinions that we've built up about the product. But then when we share the product with you, you can a lot of time just tell us based on the member experience or the things you've learned, but you don't have as much personal bias as some of us may have. So it's a good balance.
Yeah. So you guys respect my product opinion?
Of course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm flattered.
We do. I tend to drop off products on Dan's desk, which is exactly what the next question is leading to.
Yeah.
Without any spoilers. If Dan could create a men's box, what would be put in there, and is there a possibility for it in the future?
I think there's definite possibility. We've done men's box that's not been a subscription in the past, so I think that's something that we're very excited to push forward on, hopefully in the near future. No spoiler warning there.
Yeah.
And then, what's the parameters? I can't actually say what I think we would put in this hypothetical men's box, because I know like there was one product that we recently put in a sale that I'm a huge fan of.
I think you can share.
I can share. Like I'm a big.
We might have to bleep if it's
Okay.
if we don't want to share. If we don't want to spoil.
Well, I'm a huge hot sauce fan, and we recently actually tested putting hot sauce in one of our sales, and it sold out pretty quickly. And it's a brand called Zabs that I'm a huge fan of, and happen to, occasionally I will invest in companies as well. And this is one that I've decided to recently invest in as well, just because I think the product is so phenomenal, and I'm friends with the people who did it, who put together the brand. So that's the type of thing I would love to see. I think there's, obviously scents are nice. So colognes, I think are really interesting. Candles, I think men also love candles. Another area. Essential oils actually is something I'm getting more and more into as well. So I like fragrant stuff a ton. I think wallets are a super interesting space to play in.
Yeah.
Belts, ties, gizmos, and gadgets. I mean, there's so many things you could do with a men's box. And of course, like the skincare and beauty routines are also totally within the realm of men. And I know men also have a lot of sensitivities about hair, so that could be another area. I see Andrew laughing.
Yeah, there's a reason why I wear baseball caps, guys.
So,
Well, definitely more to come in that space. Stay
And
tuned.
a follow-up question. I mean, if you can pick one accessory, one thing that a dude can't live without, that they may not be carrying on them now, what would that be? I mean, knowing your perspective and things that you've seen.
one thing they can't live without?
Or one thing that they may not know that they can't live without. That
Honestly,
you've been
I
exposed to.
think things like, it's, well, I don't know if this would be in the box, but I'm really happy with my AirTag. And so, bless you, Apple. I was the type of person who would misplace my key, and I still happen to misplace my key all the time. But now when I misplace it, or I'm not sure where I put it when I came home or whatever it is, I just hit a button and it makes a little noise, and it saves me a lot of time and hassle, and I know the thing that was there is there where I needed to look, needed to find it. So that's something that's I feel like I can't live without anymore.
And I
in
feel
a way.
like you're a little bit of like a wellness connoisseur, I feel. You're sharing about like Epsom salt baths and different things like that.
Oh, I'm a big bath person too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I've been getting into lately, and it's something that I've thought about testing on the FabFitFun platform. It's actually, so there's a huge cult, I don't know if it's huge cult following. Hydrogen peroxide baths is something that people do, right? And I know that sounds really crazy, but there's a bath salt that, a soak that is based in hydrogen peroxide, and I have actually really enjoyed that. As well as like the different Epsom salts, but that was like a unique one, and I thought is pretty energizing and refreshing to do a hydrogen peroxide bath. And we may test some of those products in one of our sales, or look at it for a box potentially down the line. There's a brand called Soakness that I'm particularly fond of.
Yeah.
And the product is pretty cool.
Yeah, and whenever something like that happens, somebody brings forward an idea, there's usually a bunch of samples at the office for everybody to try and give their opinion. So it's a really fun, interactive environment.
Have I given you guys the?
Yeah.
I have?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
people like it, or was
That's
it?
why I knew you were a wellness
Yeah.
connoisseur. I've seen some samples.
That's funny.
I haven't tried myself. I got to try.
Yeah.
Okay, the last question that our community members were asking, which is kind of like a deeper question. What is one of the proudest moments in your life, and what would you be doing if you weren't working on FabFitFun?
Oh man, the proudest moments of my
Yeah,
life,
that's
and what
tough.
would I be doing? That's a really, really, really tough question. I'd say so. I had, and some people know this, some people don't. I had a lot of difficulty in the last few years because I got very, very sick. At some point, I was diagnosed with cancer, and thank God I'm doing well now, and I'm healthy and kind of like back to my old self and all. For all intents and purposes. And I'd say what has made me proud was, knowing that when I was going through that difficult period in my life, I had so many people who were there for me to support me and help me through it and make me get to the point where I feel recovered and feel like myself again. So I don't think it's a singular moment, but I feel very fortunate and lucky. And in a way, I take pride in the fact that I have so many great friends and relationships that they were able to sort of usher me through what was a really horrific experience. And I know most people are touched by cancer in some way or another. So, I don't think I'm alone in this, but I had to do 9 months of intensive chemotherapy. They initially told me there was like a 50-60% chance of cure. It was a very scary thing to hear. I had multiple bouts of pneumonia when I was, so on and so forth. Not to go into too many details while I was going through chemotherapy, but throughout it all, where there's kind of many highs and lows, I never felt alone in that battle. And so for that, I'm very, very proud to have so many people who, had supported me through that and helped me get to the other side where, hopefully I still think about it, I'd say even on a daily basis, I, think about it, but it fades into the background the more time that goes by. And hopefully, the more that goes, it just becomes a distant memory. And what I remember from that experience is, all the people who were actually there for me and how much they cared and supported for me to make sure that I did heal in a way that, I think may have been more difficult had I not had that support system.
Of course, and that's incredibly inspiring, I'm sure, to me as well as our listeners. We could do a whole episode on that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They also mentioned, asking if you can participate in the community more. And I think something that might be interesting to them is perhaps the fact that you did have to step back a little bit from, being engaged in the community or the company because you were going through some health struggles.
Yeah, I definitely could. I think I read the community more than I actively comment because I'm not sure I'll be able to respond to all the things like the few times I have come in and chimed in. But yes, I could happily set up a more regular cadence of doing like a Q&A or something that within the community. I think it'd be fun to do that from time to time. It's definitely something I've thought about more and more. And I know Mike and Katie get so involved with the community that I'm like, I'm not, I don't know if there's room for a third sometimes, but it's definitely something I'm totally open to and happy to kind of embrace.
Yeah, the community definitely thinks so. They're saying that Mike and Katie need your help. They need support. They need all the forces.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah. So
sounds like you got a bunch of fans there.
Yeah, you gotta hop on in to answer more questions. Hopefully we'll have some more after this episode that we can follow up on. That about wraps it up. So for my last question, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything that you are really excited about the future of FabFitFun that you wanted to, share with our listeners.
Oh, I mean, there's so many things that I'm excited about for the future of FabFitFun that, I think this one, I think will just keep behind the closed doors. I think there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline that I think are going to make the membership even better. And, we teased out a few with things like, apps and putting them in customization flows and heading into fashion and luxury. But I think that's just the tip of the iceberg of the type of experiences we can offer members. And, I think almost best saved for another time. Absolutely.
And this episode might be coming out right around the Fall Box launch. So let us know what new things are in the flow. Comment below on the YouTube video. Let us know in the community what you're loving. I'm sure Dan would love to hear as he's scrolling and reading the community.
Perfect.
So thanks, everybody. Thanks so much, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Andrew.